Okay, so I will record for the student who are not able to attend this class. Now, let me explain the reason why I choose this Arya Pariyesana Sutta. Because it is a sutta that really gives us the account of how the Bodhisattva in search of the truth. Of course, there are some other sutta also explain this, but this sutta is very nice because it really from the direct coming from direct from the Buddha and let us know the Buddha as a person. Now, when we practice meditation, you all know because I've been mentioned many times about there are five faculties: faith, wisdom, effort, concentration, and mindfulness. Now, it's very important to have faith. Faith means confidence, trust in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. Because if we don't have faith, then even though you might practice, you might always have doubts about, are you practicing correctly? Is it in the right way? Or is the teacher teaching me correctly? Or the Buddha is still alive? Or Buddha is the Buddha's teaching still alive? Or the Buddha's teaching is true or whatever. So if your faith is not clear, then you might have lots of doubts. So it's very important to have faith in the Buddha as a person. Now, when we say the Buddha as a person, that means that we try to see the Buddha. Now, sometimes we have this term, we call it physical, we call it historical Buddha. When we use the word historical Buddha, means that we see the Buddha as in history. All right, that's why there's the term called historical Buddha. But historical Buddha is actually, let us see Buddha as a person, but does not really bring us to the idea of how he really lived and how he really delivered the Dhamma. So we see him in the sense of a person. What we do is by reading the sutta, by following the sutta, we see him as a person who tried to struggle, a person who has struggled in his meditation, a person who tried many ways to look for truth. So that's mean that see him not just a historical Buddha, but see him as a person, just like you all, you and me, having problems in meditation and try to look for teachers in order to solve our problem. Okay, so this is just a kind of introduction here. Okay, now, I already sent to you all the text. Now, before I started with the text, I'd like to show you where is this sutta, all right? So now, all these are in Pali, of course. Okay, so this sutta is actually in the Majjhima Nikaya, Middle Length Discourse. Mula Panyasa is the first 50 on the third Opama, means the simile there. Right, so you find here in the Tipitaka, in the Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya, Mula Panasa, the first book, Majjhima Nikaya middle length got 3. So the first 50 under the Upama Vaga, the chapter or section on simile, right? Now, if you go online, later I'll share with you this link, right? So you can do a kind of search and you can find this sutta. Okay, it's in the middle discourses 26. Actually, the Pali is not Arya Pariyesana. Arya Pariyesana Sutta is another name. The actual name given in this script is called Pasarasi Sutta, which is the other name is Arya Pariyesana. So this is a noble quest. Okay. So if you go to Sutra Center Net, you can find this one. So it's either you click here, you can find side by side or line by side. If you want to line by line Pali English or side by side Pali English, and so on. Okay. So that's how we learn the Pali, okay, and how we learn the Sutta, of course. Now I already sent the text to you. So the one, if you're interested in Bali, you print out the Bali. If you're interested in English, you print out the English. For me, I prefer to see the Bali. Okay. Now, I will read. Later, I will invite some of you to read. Since this is on meditation, we will just go through certain part of the sutta, not everything. Okay, because no point we finish the whole sutta. Because we need to dedicate about maybe 45 or half an hour for spiritual practice. Evam me suttam. Thus have I heard. At one time, the fortunate one, Bhagawa, was dwelling in Shawati at Anathapindika's ground in Jeta's wood. Then the fortunate one, having dressed in the morning time, after picking out his bow and robe, was entering Shawati for alms. Now, here we can see the Buddha as a person. Okay, first he come out from the place he stay in another Pindika. Then after dress up means dress in robe, neat and tidy. Then he pick out his bow and then robe. That means that this will be extra robe and enter Shawati for alms. Okay. Then there are many monks approach the Venerable Ananda. Now, Venerable Ananda is the assistant for the Buddha. So sometimes the monks, they don't approach the Buddha. So they will go through Venerable Ananda. So now after approaching, they said this to Venerable Ananda. It has been so long. It had been a long time, friend Ananda. Also, okay, also friend. Since we heard talk about the Dhamma face to face with the fortunate one. Means that since a long time, they listen Dhamma talk from the Buddha. Now the Buddha here is using the word Bhagawa. Right? Bhagawa means a fortunate one. Another way of we can translate, we can use it the blessed one. Okay, so if you print out, you can just write yourself. It would be good, friend Ananda, if we were to listen to talk about the Dhamma face to face with the fortunate one. Then Venerable preached approached the Brahmana Ramaka hermitage. It would be well if we get to listen to talk about the Dhamma face to face with the fortunate one. Yes, Venerable, those monks replied to Venerable Ananda. Then the fortunate one, after walking for alms in Shawati and returning from the alms round after the meal, addressed the Venerable Ananda saying, Come Ananda, let us approach the eastern monastery and Megara mother's mansion to spend the day. Okay, Megara mother means that is the devotee Visakha, female devotee Visakha. So she donated this place, Pubarama. It's translated as an Eastern monastery. In Shawati, there are two donors. One is Anatta Pindaka, another one donor is Visakha. Here is translated Megara because she's the son, her son is Megara, so it's called. So Visakha, another name is Megara mother. Very well, Reverend Sir. Venerable Ananda replied to the fortunate one. Then the fortunate one, the Buddha, together with Venerable Ananda, all right, and so on. Okay. So on, right? I think we can just skip it. So they go there. And now the monks already assembly there. Okay, now starting from this point. All right, so that's why this sutta name, like mentioned just now, actually the real sutta name is called Rasi Sutta, right? But why is it the name is this one? Because it's to do with these two searches, right? So Pariyesana, search. Here, actually, from this point, is very important in terms of Dhamma. and in terms of meditation. Okay. So, Arya Pariyesana. So, this is a sutta name. Noble search. And this is the first search. Another one is Anariya Pariyesana, ignoble search. Right? So now the Buddha start to explain what is ignoble. Anariya. Anariya means not noble. Okay. So this is a point where we can consider ourselves. So since this is a meditation class, so we can consider this point. What is ignoble search, which I think most people are doing this. Right, so this point I will invite somebody to read. Okay. Chufang, are you here?
Yeah.
Okay, can you read this one?
Sayagyi.
Yes,
You
just read
want
this one.
you want me to read the English one?
Yeah, read slow, okay?
Okay, English one, right?
Yes, read slow.
Okay. Being himself subject to birth, seek out what is subject to birth. Being himself subject to old age, seeks out what is subject to old age. Being himself subject to sickness, seeks out what is subject to sickness. Being himself subject to death, seek out what is subject to death. Being himself subject to grief, seek out what is subject to grief. Being himself subject to defilements, seeks out what is subject to defilements.
Okay, thank you. Right. Okay, so this is the Buddha said as ignoble search, which we can so consider happen to most people. We are subject to birth, aging, sickness, death, grief, and subject to defilements. But we are also looking for future life. In the future life, even in this life, we also have aging, sickness, death, grief, and defilements. So that's why the Buddha said ignoble search. This means that it's those people who are unwise. They always do this all the time. Now, then the Buddha said, what is subject to birth? Wife, children are subject to birth. Female and male servants are subject to birth. Goat, sheep are subject to birth. Chicken, pigs, elephant, cow, horses, mouse, gold, silver. So these are the basis of what's subject to birth. Now, infatuated, indulging in this, he himself subject to birth. He said what is subject to birth. Now, what he's trying to say that is people have craving for all these things. Okay? So if you have craving for all these things, you are infatuated by these things. So all these refer to what? Our surrounding, right? Wife, children means that it's your family members. Male, female means all these are part of family. And all these your properties. Okay. All these are riches. Okay. So if somebody tied by this, so he means that he's subject to birth is 6, 5 subject to birth. Okay. And now when look at this term, it's actually, it just say is our surrounding is all these things. Now, what's the meaning of subject to birth? Sometimes we don't understand. So sometimes when we read the sutta, we don't understand. So we go and read the next sentence. Okay. Now, what is subject to OH? It's actually the Pali is similar, right? And you can say the English is similar. So this means that the same things mentioned above and here are subject to OH. This is actually easy. This means that your family members, wife, children, they are subject to OH, right? Your properties, gold, ships, and so on, gold and silver, your indulgence, your riches, these are basis of what is subject to OH. Means that they will decay, all right? So we understand in terms of noble truth. So this is the first noble truth. These are subject to decay. Right. One person also subject to decay, OH. He also looking for those subject to decay, subject to OH. So these are ignoble search. Okay. Right. Now another one, subject to sickness. The same thing, our family members, our properties, right? So we are infatuated or these things we are subject to sickness. So a person himself is subject to sickness. He seeks out what is subject to sickness. After that, he repeat the thing, death, marana. Now, when we look at the Pali, actually is repeating the same sentence again and again, and actually it's very easy to memorize the Pali. You just need to memorize the first line. So these are subject to death, and after that, sorrow, grief. Soka is a grief here, but we can translate as a sorrow. Then subject to defilements. Okay. Okay. Now this is just a give the idea. Now when we look at this, we are looking at the process of how the Buddha or Bodhisattva, all right? Before that, remember when he started his journey for enlightenment, first he had to leave the house. So when he was as a Prince Siddhartha, he saw many, you all remember he saw the four signs, right? So anybody remember what is the four signs that he see? Anybody? Okay. What's the four sign that the Buddha see?
Birth, aging, sickness, death, old age.
All right. So can you see? Now you can see what the Prince Siddhartha saw. He saw aging. Okay. You already see just now when he said in the first sentence. He see aging, right? He see a sick person. Then he see a dead person. Okay. So when he sees person die, then he see those people around him become sorrowful. And before the person pass away, he also becomes sorrowful. So this is a conclusion he made himself. People are subject to defilements. That means that you have greed, hatred, delusion, and we are looking for things or people who also have greed, hatred, delusion. So we are unwise. So we are looking, if we have this one, so we are considered as having the ignoble search, not the noble search, right? So the first thing that the Buddha explained to us, what is ignoble? Ignoble means unwise, not good. Okay, we just use the word not good, not wise. So if we have aging, birth, sickness, we are looking for people. This means that if you have aging sickness and that you still have craving towards your family members who also have aging sickness, that so you are having the ignoble search, not wise search. Okay. So after the Buddha said that, so remember as a Prince Siddhartha, he was very wise. He know that about this. Then he want to know what is the Arya Pariyesana. So that's why the Sutta come this one. So okay, somebody will read. Veera, can you read this one?
Okay. Good evening, Saiji.
Okay.
In English,
Yeah, of course.
and and what monks is a noble search. Here, monks, someone being himself subject to birth, after understanding the danger in being subject to birth, seeks out the birthless, supreme, secure nibbana. Being himself subject to old age, after understanding the danger in being subject to old age, Saiji, please. Seek out the ageless, supreme, secure nibbana. being himself subject to disease. After understanding the danger in being subject to disease, seek out the sickless, supreme, secure Nibbana. Being himself subject to death, after understanding the danger in being subject to death, seeks out the deathless, supreme, secure Nibbana. Being himself subject to grief, after understanding the danger in being subject to grief, seek out the griefless, supreme, secure Nibbana. Being himself subject to defilements, after understanding the danger in being subject to defilements, seek out the unfouled, supreme, secure Nibbana. These monks is a noble search.
Okay. So the
You.
noble search, thank you very much, Avira. So noble search means looking for Nibbana. Okay. Nibbana is no aging, no sickness, no grief, is a no defilements. So if somebody looking for Nibbana is considered as Arya Pariyasana, noble search. Because if somebody still looking for aging, sickness, and suffering in himself and in other people, in other things, so these are ignoble search. Okay. Now from this point, then the Buddha start to look for awakening. Remember when the Buddha, the Prince Siddhartha, he saw the four signs. He was so having so much suffering in his mind. Because when he saw people are getting aging, people are sick, people are dead, they had to separate for their loved one. So he feel very frustrated. He want to look for the way to escape from sickness, aging, and death, and sorrow and lamentation. Then he have to think about what is the cause. The cause is, of course, birth. If you have birth, you have this problem. If there's no birth, there will be no aging, sickness, suffering, and death. That's why he looking for the enlightenment, right? So we have to reflect in terms of ourselves, right? So when we have to think about, let's see, are we having this Arya Pariyasana? Okay, or we are looking for sensual pleasure. Because as we grow older, now if you are young, you don't notice so much problem. But when you grow older, you can see, okay, your eyes, you need specs, okay, your body start to feel weak, yeah, the body ache, and then you have knee problem or skin problem or kidney problem. Then you start to understand why the Buddha, the Prince Siddhartha, want to look for the way to escape from all this suffering. All this suffering start because of birth. When there's birth, there will be aging, sickness, death. Then you have to separate from your loved one. This means that the Buddha actually, as a Prince Siddhartha, he start to understand about the first noble truth. All right. Now, how do we bring to our meditation? We have to contemplate the Dhamma every day, right? Now, when we talk about the word meditation, bhavana, right? In Pali, we call bhavana. Bhavana means mental cultivation, mental training. We have to train the mind to let go of defilements. One way to let go is consider our mind and body at this stage. So as we grow older, we can notice that a lot of impermanent suffering, especially non-self, we can no more control our body. Like sometimes the yogi might always say, last time they can sit for 1 hour. Now after sit for 1 hour, they always got back pain, ache pain. They feel they had to struggle with the body pain. Okay, so even though you thought you might not improve in meditation, but actually your mind start to understand about the non-self of the body. You start to understand what the Buddha say in the First Noble Truth. Birth, aging, sickness, suffering, okay? Birth, aging, sickness, separate from loved ones, sorrow, lamentation. in brief, the five aggregates is a mass of suffering. All right. Now, how do we going to meditate on that? Right? So let us see some more. Can we get some point there? Okay. Yeah, it's actually repeat the same thing, right? So while still as an unawakened bodhisattva, right? He knows that he's subject to birth. He sought out what was subject to birth and so on. Then he occurs to himself, right? Why, since he had all these problems, we call it birth, aging, sickness, all these problems, why do he have to look for these kind of things again? You know? So that's why he understand about this is the first noble truth, even though at that time he's not enlightened yet. He understand the danger about having these five aggregates. He want to look for Nibbana, right? But of course, at that time, he doesn't really understand Nibbana. He just want to look for the birthless, the state that no birth. Once there's no birth, there will be no aging, sickness, and death, right? So he tried to look Nibbana. So you can see in this sutta, it really talk about how he understand about Nibbana. Breathless, deathless. Okay, now he start to find the two teachers. Okay, now there's a question about people say, do you need samatha or vipassana? Because when we study this sutta, all right, so you notice that even though after he meet the two teacher, he had to let go the teacher's way and find his own method of practice. Because the two teacher only teach him up to very high level of samatha only. Okay. Now, I'd like to show you another so is it yeah. So just now I was looking at the novel. Okay. So sometimes if you want to understand the sutta, you can get some point from the novel. Okay. So in this sutta, in the Majjhima Nikaya, so describe the Buddha's journey towards enlightenment, emphasizing discriminant in spiritual practice, right? So you also offer crucial insight for meditator. Okay. Now, the one we see just now, ignoble search means that looking for pleasures, properties, like all the gold, sheep, gold, silver, all these are pleasures only. Now, the Buddha actually, as a principle, he looking for deathless Nibbana. Now, when we say Nibbana, it's a freedom from all suffering. Okay, so later he met two teachers, Alala Kalama, who practice up to nothingness, another one, Udakalama Buddha, teach him the neither perception nor perception, but the Buddha left them because he noticed that their teaching did not end in suffering. Okay, then he started to look for his own path. Okay, now today I think I will just stop up to here because sometimes too much information you all cannot digest. So today we just need to contemplate about these two truth, two paths, right? Right. So one is called the ignoble search means looking for pleasures, those like having more craving to sensual pleasures, but all these are temporary happiness. Another one is looking for nibbana, which is permanent happiness. Because in Nibbana, there's no more birth. Since no more birth, there's no more mass of suffering like aging, sickness, sorrow, limitations, so on. Okay. So if you are interested to let go all the suffering, you have to look for noble search. Now, how to find noble search? You have to just contemplate your own five aggregates. Look for all the problems in the body, sickness, old age, and when you associate with bad things, you feel grief. And then you notice that when your mind have defilements, you also lead to more unhappiness later. All right. So what we do is, I think we can start some meditation. Now, there are a few ways to practice meditation, you all know. One way is either through samatha, another way is through vipassana. So for samatha practice, is very easy. You just need to find one object like the breathing, and then you calm down the mind, focus on that object. So later you change to vipassana. All right. So we can do either this one. So I think most of you know how to meditate, right? Any of you never meditate before? Any of you? Right. This no. Okay. So now what we do is we're going to spend 5 minutes on breathing. What we do is to help you calm down the mind, you can take a deep and long breathing, right? So breathing in and breathing out, breathing in and breathing out, okay? So you calm down your mind. So we're going to do a deep breathing in and breathing out. So you just do like that for 5 minutes. So later we are going to go through the Namarupa or five aggregates to look for the problems in our body. Once we can see our Namarupa have problems, has suffering, we can let go easily. Okay? So now just do 5 minutes, breathing in and breathing out. Okay, now we can focus on our body and mind. So look for any problems in our body and mind. For example, normally we thought we are in control of our mind and body. So try to see if you can always have good feeling. It's not possible, right? You always, sometimes there's a good feeling in the body, sometimes there's bad feeling in the body. We are not able to control the feeling to be always good feeling. Is it possible for us to always have happy mind? It's also not possible. So sometimes the mind come, good mind come, disappear, bad mind disappear. So the feeling always changing, the mind also changing. None of this can be controlled by us. They arise when there's condition and disappear when there's no condition. Okay. So basically you just need to be mindful, keep your mindfulness on this body and mind. You can focus on breathing or for the elements or any parts of the body. So you can practice Vipassana because Vipassana is the right way to reach Nibbana. Okay, so I think most of you can meditate. So we will just do half an hour sitting meditation together. So at the end, we will do the sharing merits. So we can start now. At that time, when, I didn't mention just now. Remember when he was as a Prince Siddhartha, actually he had nothing wrong with his body. Because he's still young, he lived in a very luxurious palace, surrounded by luxuries, but yet he still had the thought about aging, sickness, limitation, and so on. It's because there are four signs created by the deities shown to him. So he see an old man, sick man, a dying, a dead person, and after that he's an ascetic, right? That's how he start to have this thought about if somebody, he himself subject to birth, aging, sorrow, limitation, and defilements. And if he looking for things or person who has birth, aging, sickness, sorrow, limitation, defilement. So this is an ignoble truth, ignoble search also. Okay, so what the Buddha say, we should be wise. We consider we have aging, suffering, and sickness, so we should not have attachment towards people or things. They are subject to changes. In brief, you can say that the Buddha's teaching is talking about the Four Noble Truths. The first noble truth is about suffering, dukkha. If we have dukkha in us, why should we look for more dukkha in other people? If we have dukkha in us, we should let go the dukkha. Okay? That's a wise way. To let go of dukkha means to go for the right path to attain nibbana. Okay, so this is just a very short sharing here and just a recap of what the sutta is trying to tell us. I hope that by learning the sutta, you get to know who the Buddha was. So instead of being him as a historical, somebody who lived in the past, you also see him as a person who also has many suffering, because when he trying to look for enlightenment, he also suffer a lot. Okay, when he try the practice in the ascetic path, but he never stop his never waver in his determination to look for truth. So also like us, when you are looking for progress in spiritual path, don't give up easily. Even though you might have suffering in your body and mind, but still should continue to look for the search for the truth, search for the best way to practice. Okay, all right, so we finish here. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May all attain Nibbana in the shortest possible time. May all continue to have a good determination in your practice. May all have more faith in the Triple Gem. Sadhu, sadhu.